Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so this is one of them early morning videos where I got groceries on the way. You know how that goes. So at any moment, this video could end abruptly, but I don't care because I like doing things this way for some reason. So let's talk a little basketball, and if we have to pick it back up in a second video, we'll do that. All right, so Kevin Durant, the demands are on the table still. I was listening to Nick Wright and those guys this morning, and they're just reacting to it as I thought they would. Obviously, the situation now is about who would now be willing to pick up the conversation in regards to taking Kevin Durant. The Pelicans have re-entered the conversation. Nick Wright was patting himself on the back for saying that they should have made this trade, proposing this trade rather, and basically he had it with Larry Nance, Bi, 4 first rounders, basically all the Laker picks, and Herb Jones for Kevin Durant. So that trade for me, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm not for that. I'm not doing that. I understand that's fair value for KD, though. It's not a bad trade for KD by any stretch of the imagination. 4 years of KD, yeah, you feel great about giving up that package for KD. But the problem is I'm not willing to part with that package if I'm the Pelicans. I'm not doing it. I want Bi to show me what he's going to be this upcoming season, because he's been projecting forward very well for the last since basically he was a rookie to do this, produced every year and has progressed every year. He's not. I can't think of one situation where Bi has legitimately taken steps back. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't. He's just gotten better. And even though he hasn't turned into the Kevin Durant clone that everybody said he was going to become, truth of the matter is, he's still working on it. We're not done yet with his development, and we're on par. He's made an all-star team now. His team just made the playoffs and overachieved against the Suns. He was phenomenal in that series, looked like the best player on the floor on both teams. In my opinion, he looked better than everybody, all of them. So, how we talk about where the game is in terms of valuing young players, and how everything seems to be catered to trying to get Victor Wembanyama, and everybody's trying to move heaven and earth for the upside of that player and things like that. I don't personally think Bi's value makes any sense if I'm looking at it, judging how people are valuing youth in such an elevated way, and then turning and looking at this situation and saying this makes sense, attaching picks to Bi for Kevin Durant. That doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense if you don't know what you're talking about. But if you know what you're talking about and you're looking at how the NBA values talent across the board, that's a trade the Pelicans should not make at all. Why? Because we're talking about upside. The Lakers are a blueprint. The last year's Lakers are a blueprint for how we should view age across the board from a base level standard, in my opinion. In other words, if you're an old guy, over 33 or 34 years of age, in my humble opinion, I need to now see you not be hit by father time for me to value what I think you could do versus what I think a young player could do going forward. In other words, upside means more to me than the belief that someone could reach back and continue what they've been doing for long periods of time. That's how I'm looking at it. I trust that Paolo Banchero's legs is going to give me a much greater upside over the next 3 years, because that's all I can hang my hat on is 3 years, because after that I may not be able to re-sign him. But for the next 3 years, his young legs, I think, are going to be better for me than an older player who has a similar body type. I would say Blake Griffin, but that's not fair. But you know what I'm saying? An older guy who does the same stuff. No. Go with the younger guy, because first of all, even though there's upside and learning curve, you're still going to get more out of that player because he's a more youthful player at this point, and that's where the field is. You see what I'm saying? Now, if this was 1997, most of the field is probably about 31, 32 years of age. As to which your 18, 19-year-old in that era is a guy who may have just gotten drafted out of high school, probably has a lot of training to do. There's no AAU tournament. program for him to come out of. There's no G League for him to go into. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different world, and you value young players according to that. In this world where everything's catered to the development of players and all these different things and talking about the future and trading picks that are 7 to 8 years down the road, mind you, when I was growing up watching the league in the 90s and early 2000s, they weren't trading picks from 5-6 years down the road. That's something that they've been doing lately. And so as I look at this situation and I see this, I'm like, okay, if this is 96, then of course I'm giving you 4 or 5 picks, young B.I., young Herb Jones, Devontae Graham or Larry Nance, and you can give me back the Hall of Fame Kevin Durant for 4 years. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know, first of all, what B.I.'s contract is. So if he's on a 2-year deal, that does change things. If he's on a 4-year deal, it changes things. So his contract structure matters. But I don't think that over the next 4 years, I'm going to get better basketball out of the great Kevin Durant than I'm going to get out of the up-and-coming all-star Brandon Ingram. I think it's logical to think that Brandon Ingram is going to have a better 4-year stretch than Kevin Durant based on everything that we know about both players' history at this point. B.I. being a young player who's just about to step into his prime, is going to be approaching his prime over the next 2 years. And a guy, Kevin Durant, who's had a lot of miles on him, championships behind him, Achilles injury that we're concerned about, another injury that took place earlier in his career when he was with the Thunder that kept him out for a year. And that's another point. This is also the point that I wanted to bring to this camera. Kevin Durant, my favorite Boston Celtics fan, I've mentioned him more than once this week, Kevin Wiles. He made a point in regards to Kevin Durant that he's hanging his hat on. He says that he doesn't think Kevin Durant is wired to sit out for the season. That's not something I agree with because what we just said, he's done it already twice. The Achilles kept him out for a season, and the knee kept him out for a season. And you know what? He got through it. He got through it the whole year. Twice in his career. So he already knows what it feels like to sit out for a season. And this time, there's no rehab. There's no struggling at home with an injury. He can actually be free with his time for the first time during his career. And for a guy who has $500 million, he can get into a lot of good stuff or trouble. Not trouble, but like good trouble. He can go find himself a different type of life that he can fall in love with in a year's time and may not even want to come back to the NBA. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? If you're the Brooklyn Nets, you don't want to play with that because he is already almost at retirement age. Now think about a guy in the NFL by the name of Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders, in my opinion, had far more left in the tank than Kevin Durant does right now. He walked away from the game. You never saw him again. Now, he's an anomaly because you're not going to see many people walk away with that much left in the tank. He was damn near the greatest player running the ball at that time and just decided I'm cool. And you're not going to see that very often, and certainly not in basketball for different reasons, I think. But at the same time, you've seen an elite level Hall of Fame talent walk away from the game with plenty left in the tank because of circumstances that didn't have to do with the sport. So if you want to play that game with Kevin Durant, go for it. But as he told you guys over 15 years ago, Kevin Durant is not nice. He is not nice. And he's been living up to that ever since. He's letting you guys know that if you are not on board with what it is he's trying to accomplish, then you are going to be on the wrong side of him. That's the stance he's taking. I mean, he has to understand that when he makes that stance, of course, it's going to reflect poorly across the board as it pertains to people who want to take a chance on bringing him in. But it is what it is, man. So those are the 2 points I wanted to bring to you guys. That was what it was. And the last thing I wanted to say is in regards to B.I. joining the Brooklyn Nets. I think he should be very happy about that trade happening. I don't think B.I. should feel nothing about that trade. Another point that those guys brought up was that B.I. may be a little disgruntled because of the Lakers situation. It disrupted everything, and he had a sour taste in his mouth about being traded. I think he was the main guy who was really upset about the whole rumors going down, and the chemistry was bad because his energy, basically, from what I understand, was the one that was like, I don't like how they put me in these trade rumors. However, there's a big difference between having never been traded from the place that you were drafted, which happens to be the Los Angeles Lakers, next to LeBron James with a championship opportunity in front of you. It's a totally different situation. And leaving that and going to New Orleans than leaving New Orleans, a team that I think could actually win the championship, and going to Brooklyn. Now, the reason why I say that, the Lakers could have won a championship, of course, so I'd say that B.I. would be leaving two situations that he may potentially have won a championship in, and you don't feel good about that path if you're him. But, if you're thinking about your personal situation, if you're one of those guys who's really, really interested in making money in this league, I think B.I. is set to make more money in Brooklyn than he is to make in New Orleans. Now, I like New Orleans much better for him than Brooklyn because they have a better war chest. They got better everything right now. They're in a better space. But if for some reason this has to happen, I don't think if I'm Brandon Ingram, I'm looking at it the same way as I looked at being traded from the Lakers to the Pels. No, you're leaving the Pels and you're going to New York. And let me tell you something. I know New York can be rough. Before a guy like Brandon Ingram, who's going to be the star, the number one guy in the Brooklyn Nets team that's looking to rebuild, the money opportunities for Brandon Ingram are going to be really, really, really plentiful. Really plentiful. And I think that that would be something that he would be excited about. But, like I said, New Orleans looks great. And I love what David Griffin has done with that roster. I like they've been patient. I love the deal that they got from us that ultimately got them all this pick equity, which is why their team is so fantastic. They've done good things with those picks. I'm very, very excited about Dyson Daniels. As you guys know, the rookie that they picked up, the point guard, he's really, really, really talented on both sides of the floor and is tall. So that's going to make him an extremely dangerous piece to add already to the Alvarados and everything else that they already got that makes them very dangerous. I do think that what makes them a ridiculously trumped card, overpowered team is the fact that they have all of this with Herb Jones, who I think is going to be one of the better defenders out there for a very long time. And if they let him go in this trade, I think it'll be something that they regret for a very long time. Now, here's the problem, though. Just like we say with all these young teams, you got to pick somebody that you can not pay because you're not going to be able to pay everyone. It'd be good to know who that is right away. Getting rid of Devontae Graham's contract is a good thing. I never liked that contract, and even the day he signed it, I didn't love that piece. It's definitely not at that price. So if they can get out from under that, that's a salary dump that would help them. If not, it doesn't hurt them to keep it because he's just another piece on the team. They have everything in place to win, in my opinion. I think they get a little worse if they make this trade. And I think I'm the only person that says this. I don't think anybody else feels this way. I really don't. I think it's logical not to see it that way. But what I'm telling you is I see it this way because I don't trust Kevin Durant to stay healthy as much as I trust Brandon Ingram to stay healthy. So I think that in the long run, your team timeline makes more sense as well if you keep it the way it is. Keep the picks. Maybe trade the young player that you're not going to keep for something that's not going to bring back so much salary, something that's not going to change the world for you. I don't love it. It's not that Kevin Durant doesn't fit on the Pelicans. He certainly could. But it's a lateral move at best. Because again, I do think that Brandon Ingram's going to be a better overall piece going forward than Kevin Durant over the next 4 years. I just think I think B.I.'s going to have 4 better years than Kevin Durant, or it's going to be split down the middle. I don't think it's going to be Kevin Durant just killing B.I. every year over the next 4 years. In comparison, I am almost 100% sure that's not going to happen. It's just not. That's not how this works. Father Time don't work that way. So, with that being said, I'm looking at the situation. I don't like it for the Pelicans. I thought of it just like everybody else thought of it. Rather Nick Wright. Yeah, I thought of this trade too. I said that they could trade him for B.I., but it was just something I poo-pooed immediately because I just don't let young players go for old guys who are their basically they're doppelgangers. I'm not doing that. They're the same body height, same weight, same everything. Only one guy's like literally 12 years younger. Like, no, we're not doing that. That's a mistake that the media will tell you to do for vanity reasons because Kevin Durant's a bigger name. But he's a bigger name because he's been doing it this long. If B.I. had played for the Thunder, if you give B.I. KD's career, I'm pretty sure B.I. is going to do a lot of good things too. I'm not going to disrespect KD and say he do the same things. But you got to understand, they are the same body type. They do have the same strengths. B.I. is not as good of a shooter as KD yet. I don't know that he gets there, but the kid is already a phenomenal scorer. He's hitting shots left and right. So what I need to see to believe in B.I. to think that he could turn into KD or his own version of KD, I've already seen it. That's what BDF is telling me. I've already seen that. I already know he's going to be that. So me giving him up is not smart right now. I didn't love giving him up for Anthony Davis. But at that time, he was further underdeveloped than obviously he is now. No all-star appearance. You felt better about it. Now, 3 years later, with all those things under his belt, I feel less confident that trading him makes me better. Doesn't at all. No. Not if what I saw is going to be what he's going to be. If what I saw against the Suns is who this guy is, no, you don't. No. Look, if you're looking at this the way that I'm looking at it, not only am I not giving you BI for KD, depending on BI's contract length, of course, but I'm not going to do that trade. But I'm telling you that because he's this age and your guy's that age, you're giving me pick equity. Yes, that's why that trade's not going to get done. They're going to hang up on me real fast. Because I'm going to be like, no, KD's the older guy. He's the one with the Achilles injury. He's the one that wants out. I'm not giving you picks. You're giving me a pick. It's BI for KD and pick equity. And you're going to hang up the phone. The entire league is going to laugh at me. But I'm going to believe that I'm literally the only person seeing clearly. Because in regards to all the other young players across the league is looking at it that way. But as it pertains to this particular piece, even though he's disgruntled on a 4-year deal that's astounding with all kinds of years on it, all this Achilles injury, all the stuff we've already said, telling people to fire this guy and that guy, all this stuff. And I'm supposed to throw in pick equity, young doppelganger, and future defensive player of the year, and salary, and swaps. And all I'm getting back is the older doppelganger. Hell no. Nah. You can sell that to everyone else except BDO 44. Nah, ain't gonna work. Sorry. Because I know that you're paying, or rather, I know that if I'm the Pelicans, I'm paying for a name. I'm not paying for supreme, improvement. That's not what I'm going to be getting back. I'm getting back a lateral move, literally a lateral move in terms of the player, and I'm giving up significant trade value on top of that. And the only thing that's going to make me feel good about that is the talking heads who say this is a good decision. And it ain't. I'm telling you it's not, and I'm telling you why. So, the Pelicans are not going to do this. I don't think David Griffin's ultimately going to do it unless the ownership goes against what is likely going to be good advice telling them not to do it. And if ownership's like, no, I want KD because KD's KD and we're going to do that, okay, fine. Bring in KD. And just remember, BI's walking into his prime. KD is a disgruntled player with injuries who wants everybody fired in the place that he's at. In a contract that's really, really long that he may not even want to honor once arriving in your franchise. And that is why his price tag must come down. He purposefully tanked his trade value, and the price is going to reflect that. So that trade that was on the table when, the Nick Wright's talking about, that is going to come down most definitely if something like that were to take place. Forget everything I just said in regards to my opinion about it. I'm talking about what is actually going on. Even if you think Kevin Durant is infinitely better than BI, I'm telling you that it ain't going to cost no 4 picks, Devontae Graham, Jones, and BI to get KD today. After what he just did 2 days ago, absolutely not. If he goes for that price, the fleece is real. The fleece is real, and I just don't expect that from David Griffin at all. I do not expect that. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say, man. Those are all the points I wanted to make, man. That was it. Groceries still haven't arrived, which I guess is a good thing, so I was able to complete the video. But, hopefully we can get something done today. I would love to see news come in now that so much pressure is being applied from different angles. Hopefully we can see some type of move be made. The likelihood of that, I don't see it, but I'm hopeful. So that's what I'm going with. My name is BDR44. I thank you all for rocking.